What's going on, everybody? Todd here. Today we're going to install the Retrax IX on this 2021 Ford F-150, but this is a similar install for other applications. For this installation, I'll be using a 6mm Allen wrench, a 5/64 Allen wrench, a T25 Torx bit with extension and ratchet, and a tape measure. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and drop our canister into the bed of the truck. Now make sure it's oriented properly. So you're going to want to make sure that the bulb seal is facing towards the tailgate and the flap seal is facing towards the cab, and also laying on top of your bulkhead. And then you go ahead and make sure that this is pushed all the way up against the bulkhead. And you'll also want to make sure the cover is completely centered side to side. So make sure you've got the same spacing from the inside of the canister on both sides. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and assemble our rails. I'm showing you the passenger side rail. We're going to do the exact same thing with the driver's side rail. The way you can identify passenger side versus the driver's side is this is your opening that the cover rides back and forth in, and it kind of slants down to the outside of the truck. On the back end, the tailgate end of the passenger side cover, you're going to have a hole up on the top. If this was on the opposite side of the rail, that would be the driver's side rail. You'd want to flip that around and put it on the driver's side. But this is passenger side, so what we're going to do is go ahead and flip that upside down, and you're going to notice a channel going through the bottom of the rail. Now, with our hardware, what we're going to do is identify 6 nylock nuts. Now, those nylock nuts are going to need to slide into that channel. Okay, now just to show you the orientation of the nylock nuts, you'll notice you've got the nylock end of it on one side and then no nylock on the other side. That's the side you want to be looking at as you slide it into the channel. So go ahead and slide all 6 nylocks with nylock side down into that channel. Next, what we're going to do is take our end cap, go ahead and flip that upside down, and that's going to line up to our rail. Now, these are side specific, so it only goes on the correct side. This is the passenger side end cap. So what we're going to do is slide it in place. Then we're going to line this final nylock right here up to the end cap, and then take one of our short Allen head bolts, line it up there, get that started, and take the included Allen wrench, and then snug that down. You don't want to over tighten that. All you're doing is getting it to about 5 foot-pounds. Next, what we're going to do is take one of our latch stops. Now, the latch stops face to the inside of the vehicle. This I've got this upside down, so it kind of throws everything off, but this is where the cover rides back and forth inside, so that latch stop needs to face that direction. What we're going to do is line up the latch stop to the next nylock nut, take our next bolt, and all we're going to do is we're just going to get that started into the nut, because we still want to be able to slide it back and forth and adjust that. So we're just going to get it started and set it in place. We're going to leave that one all the way back here for right now. Next, we're going to take our clamp assembly. Now, the clamp assembly is going to open up to be able to clamp to the inside of the bed cap. So what we're going to do is loosen up the bolt that holds that together. And I'm just going to go ahead for right now and bring this bolt all the way to where it's flush with the inside of the clamp. Pull that apart. We've also got an adjustment nylon screw that is going to go into that clamp assembly. And we use the same provided Allen wrench to get that in there. And again, all I'm going to do for right now is get it to where it's nice and flush to the inside of that clamp. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to face the clamp downwards and find our next nylock nut. We're going to take our long Allen head bolt, slide it through, line it up to the nylock nut, and then again just get it started. We're not going to tighten it down. Just get it where it's lined up and inside that nut so we can slide it back and forth. Next, we're going to go ahead and do another latch stop just like we did the first one. All right, next we're going to do another clamp, just like we did the first clamp. And finally, we're going to do our last latch stop. Once we're all done with that, we're also going to find a very small set screw and a small Allen wrench. What we're going to do is flip that rail back over, go back up to the top, and you'll notice the hole in the end cap lines up to the hole in the rail. What we're going to do is take that small set screw with the small Allen wrench and put that in place and go ahead and snug that down. All right, and repeat the same for the driver's side rail. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take our rail and line it up to our canister. Now you'll notice we've got kind of a little notch that's coming off of the canister. It's kind of a square notch. What that's going to do is that's actually going to slide into that channel that we're sliding those nylon bolts into. You'll also notice that on the rail there's a small hole on the rail. That hole is going to line up to the small hole in that notch. So what we're going to do is slide that over. You may need to kind of tilt that down. Get that lined up, lift up on the canister a little bit if you need to, and then slide that into place. You'll also notice the blanket of the cover is going to start sliding into that channel. As you slide this forward, the top of the rail is also going to slide just underneath the canister portion of the rail. All right, once those holes are lined up in your kit, you're going to have a provided Torx head bolt. We've also got a provided tool. I'm actually using a different tool that we're provided, but it's a T25 Torx bit that you're provided. We're going to go ahead and line that up and start running that in. Now it's going to give you a little bit of resistance up front because you're actually kind of cutting some threads into the rail. Once that draws down, just get it nice and snug. Do not over tighten this. Okay, next what we're going to do is go ahead and take our first latch stop. I've already got it kind of in position. We want to make sure that it's 1/16 of an inch away from the bolt that we just installed. We're going to hold it in position and use our provided Allen wrench to tighten that down. Just get it nice and snug. It's only going to 5 foot-pounds. All right, now with the tailgate closed, we're going to go ahead and set the rail. Now in your kit, you're going to have a plastic spacer tool. What that does, that's going to sit up on top of your tailgate, right up against your tailgate, and then you're going to take your rail and slide it to where it contacts that spacer tool. And you take your spacer out. Now while we're here, we're going to go ahead and set our final latch stop as well. It's going to come all the way back to our end cap and then go ahead and tighten that down just like we did our front one. Again, don't over tighten that, it just goes to 5 foot-pounds. Okay, now I want to go ahead and show you how to set the clamp in place. The first thing we want to do is reach up into the bed cap and see if there's any kind of obstructions. There is a little bit of an obstruction right here, so that clamp is going to have to sit just forward of that obstruction. Now this part has to rotate underneath the bed cap. Right now it won't, so I'm going to show you how to do that. What we're going to do is take our provided Allen wrench and we're going to back this bolt out enough to where we can rotate the rear clamp half down. Once that rear clamp half is rotated down just like so, we can go ahead and rotate the clamp to where it's behind the bed cap, and then we can rotate back up. Now we're still free of obstructions, but we're lined up. We can still move in and out on the bed cap. So we're going to go ahead and down below the bolt that's holding the clamp onto the rail, we're going to go ahead and tighten that down with our included Allen wrench. Again, don't over tighten this, just get it to 5 foot-pounds. All right, and once we have repeated the same process on the opposite side, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set the rail side to side to get it even. All right, next what we want to do is go to our canister and measure the distance between the rails at the canister. Now we're going to take that distance, we're going to turn around and go to where our clamps are at the rear. Now the distance between the clamps needs to be the exact same at the rear as it is at the front. Also, these two rails need to be centered side to side evenly. So this rail has to be the same distance from the bed cap on this side as it does on this side. So we're going to make some adjustments. Once we've made the adjustments, we're going to hold the rails level and then run this set screw up to touch the bed cap. Once that set screw is touching the bed cap and we're holding it level, then we're going to tighten down this bolt to draw the clamp closed, and we're going to snug it down to 5 foot-pounds. Okay, now we also want to make sure that this bolt right here is inset into the clamp. If it's stuck outside the clamp and it causes a little bit of a bind, then you won't be able to adjust that. So make sure that bolt is inside the clamp. We also want to make sure that as this is level, the space between the bed cap and the rail is the same over here on the passenger side as it is on the driver's side. If your spacing is correct, then what we're going to do is go ahead and turn this set screw until it contacts the bed cap. Don't turn it too far because then it starts to push this back away from the bed cap. Once that's contacting the bed cap, we can go ahead and tighten down the clamp, and we're just going to snug it up to 5 foot-pounds, just like we've been doing everything else. Make sure as you do that, hold the rail nice and level. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set our front clamp kind of in the same fashion we did the rear clamp. Again, we're going to pull that apart, make sure that it can rotate down. Rotate it over. Feel for any obstructions. Since we do not have any obstructions back here at all, I'm going to go ahead and bring this clamp all the way up to our latch stop. You want to get the clamp as close to the latch stop as possible. Since we have no obstructions, it's going to go all the way to the latch stop. Go ahead and rotate that back up. Now we can go ahead and use our provided Allen wrench, snug down the bottom bolt to 5 foot-pounds. All right, then once we've got it snug down to 5 foot-pounds, hold the rail level and adjust our set screw to where it touches the bed cap. Once the set screw touches the bed cap, then we can go ahead and tighten down the clamp again to 5 foot-pounds. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and set the location of our center latch stop. The center latch stop is where the cover is going to rest if you're driving partially closed. Make sure that the latch stop is set in the same position on both sides, so the same distance from the tailgate on both sides, driver and passenger. Once it's in place, again, just like everything else, we're going to tighten it down to 5 foot-pounds. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, now to install the drain tube, I've already gone ahead and made an access point to go outside the bed of the truck. What we're going to do is install the drain tube to this hole on the bottom of the canister. I've also gone ahead and pulled away all the protective plastic on the canister. You want to do that before you install the drain tube. Next, we're just going to take the drain tube, fish it out the bed of the truck, and then line it up to the hole. Once you hear it click, it's installed. Repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, now the flap seal up at the front where it reaches over top of the bed cap, that needs to be trimmed. You just want it to go over top of the bulkhead itself. So once you've got it in place, take a sharp knife and just trim it down. Do the same on the opposite side. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.